morning and welcome to Monday Morning Detective, the podcast. I'm your host, Gino Scala, and today is episode 46. And we're going to talk about a different topic today. Something not exactly crime related, at least not yet. But it's taken the world interest by storm. And it's this Titanic Submersible where the 5 people in the submarine died from an implosion. Now, I don't have all the details. I haven't been following the story significantly closely, but I do have certain opinions about this. Now, I keep hearing that this submersible was a quote-unquote exploration, scientific research. And I question that claim because the 5 people on the submersible paid $250,000 apiece to be there, with the exception, of course, of the pilot. Now, quite frankly, I'm not sure if the pilot was on the submarine. I know it was controlled by a basic game controller, and it was controlled by from a ship on top of the water. But the purpose of this submersible was to go view the sunken Titanic that was in 10,000 feet of water in the Atlantic Ocean. At another time, that might interest me, like well into the future, when this type of adventure, I'm not going to say exploration because it's not, in my opinion, this type of adventure was fiscally feasible and so common, like perhaps taking a private plane or something of that nature. That's not the case in this situation. This was a homemade submersible made of titanium and all sorts of metals. It only fit 5, and it only held air for 100 hours or so. Within 1.5 hours of its descent, they lost contact. It was at this time that I knew in my heart, and I said it on social media, they're gone. They are gone. And by gone, I mean not the communications went out. I believed at that time the sub imploded. And I even did some research on what happens during an implosion, and it's not pretty. The submarine, the size of a small car, crunches up under the immense pressure of, I am not quite sure, million pounds per square inch or something underwater at 10,000 feet. And that submarine ends up the size of a Coke can, and the 5 people inside are obviously, destroyed. And the only good thing about it is so instantaneous that the nerves from the body to the brain don't even have enough time to feel any pain. It's equivalent to jumping off the World Trade Center during 9/11. You don't feel it. It's lights out. But the opposite, the end result is the same, but it's caused by different things. The body hitting pavement from a height of the World Trade Center explodes outwardly, and an implosion, it implodes and then forces things out. So it's quite a different scene, and it's something that neither one you want to see. I have seen the first one. I've not seen a body imploded, but it's not even worth talking about because it's a horrible way to go, but painless nonetheless, and so quick that the victims never knew it happened, which is a good sign. There have been a lot of online talk about this trip, and points of view such as the rich with their rich toys and so forth. And now people are commenting on the social media commentary regarding these 5 victims. So I kind of want to explore that because I'm somewhere in the middle. First, let me make my point of view clear. Of course, it's a tragedy. We all get that. 5 people died basically needlessly. But at some point, a victim has to take, accountability for their own, for the results of their own decisions. And in this case, spending $250,000 for a chance to see the Titanic in a homemade submarine is stupid. I could say foolish. It's wasn't completely thought out. But bottom line, it was stupid. It was suicide. If they had come back in one piece, that would have been the story. This sub was not tested. Yes, it had previous trips down. I'm not sure if it ever did go as far as the Titanic. Look, I was a huge fan of John Denver, the singer. John Denver had a history of flying experimental planes. That was his hobby. A very expensive hobby that obviously he could afford. Now, on his last flight, there were so many things wrong with the plane that he knew of. In addition, it was illegal for him to fly, period, because his pilot license was suspended from prior DUIs. So he should never have been in the air in the first place. But he wanted this airplane that was for sale. It required him to use a pair of pliers to reach back without looking forward, looking backward, to turn a knob in order to get the gas, once it ran low, refueled from a spare tank. It was during this action in which the plane went straight down and into the water. As devastated as I was when John Denver died, there's some accountability there. But to get back to this this situation, we have 5 people, including a 19-year-old, which many are making a big deal about. But again, 19 is an adult. Blame that on the father by dragging him along and making him feel guilty by being afraid and not wanting to go, which is now the report. But the issue comes from the amount of what they call the garbage commentary that's been making social media. A lot of people are making snarky comments, or I'm glad they're dead, they deserved it, and all that. Of course, that's vile stuff we hear every day, especially in the political spectrum. There is room to say, it's a shame, but it's not surprising, and they are completely responsible for their own actions. And that's where I stand. I'm not going to mourn these people. I didn't know them. I feel badly for their families. But I think I could have spent $250,000 doing something a lot different, a lot safer, and probably a lot more important to the outside world. If you're going to spend $250,000 for fun, that's fine. But don't pass it off as research or exploration. You know, to consider this trip 10,000 feet down in the ocean as anything but a fun outing for the rich, that's exactly what it was. Interestingly, though, it did show us what happened to the passengers that were on the Titanic as it went down. Now, we believe most of them drowned before, obviously, it hit the bottom. But what if there were air bubbles that, you know, or staterooms or such that weren't flooded and people had survived? It was the pressure that killed them, and they would have died the same way. So that's something we should consider. The original Titanic sinking was the tragedy, and most of those taken were extremely poor. So that's something we should keep in mind. And with that, that'll be the end of this Monday Morning Detective, episode 46, the Titanic Submersible, and the social commentary from there. And thank you, and we'll be back next time. Have a great day.